I really love when the change of the month falls on a Sunday, as the yoga hour sequence for each month really has a lot of influence on all of the other classes. So it's nice to start here. This month, for all of my classes, I'm focusing on sequence 12 of Yoga Hour. The woman that made this sequence, her name is Beth, and what I came out of this was that it's a big hip focused sequence, and so everything throughout the month is going to be focused on good mobility and strength in the hips in particular. In yoga, we tend to relate the work and emotions that come up in the hips with a second chakra, which is Svadhisthana. Say that 5 times fast. But Svadhisthana is, again, said to be the sacral chakra, and where a lot of our energy and creative energy in particular comes from. So if we're balanced and strong in the hips, then we might see a lot of creative energy coming out of us. And then on the flip side, I notice for myself when I'm having some SI joint pain, or something is just a little bit off, like everything stops. I can't write well. I can't be creative enough with the kids when things are coming up. And so everything kind of flows in balance. And of course, healthy hips make healthy knees, and healthy shoulders, as above, so below. That's where we're working this week, this month. Comfortable seat to start. Sit nice and tall through your spine. Maybe bring the hands down low along the belly, or kind of sitting on your thighs or hips. A little bit of focus into the breath, nice and low in the body to start. Breathe in, breathe out. Just a couple more still focused breaths. Let the eyes open back up if they're closed, and we'll change to all fours. Swing around to all fours on your mat. Place the hands under the shoulders, the knees under the line of the hips, and do cat and cow. Go as quickly or as slowly as you wish in cat and cow. For those on the live stream, I'm adding in some music here for us. Starting with Oh by Dave Matthews, which happens to be my wedding song. Personally, a good place to revisit for a little creativity and newness. Circle the hips around in a circle here. And then go the opposite way. Once you're back to all fours, flip your hands around. Make your fingers point back towards your knees. Awesome opening here, and stretch for the forearms and flexion in the wrist. If that's too much, of course it's too much, and turn your hands out to the side instead of all the way back around. Lift your right leg up and back. Pull the knee into your chest and curl. And do it 2 more times, up and back. Knee into the chest, curl. Up and back. Knee into the chest, curl. Set the right knee down, extend the left leg up and back. Pull the left knee in and back. Left knee in, back. 1 more time, left knee in and back. Set the left knee down, flip the hands around carefully. And then sit back on your heels, interlace your hands, flip your palms up to the sky. Push through your thumb and your first finger here. Feel free to rise up to kneeling if that feels better to you. And then release the hands, downward facing dog. Here in down dog, pedal out the feet. And let the pedal in the feet not only stretch through the hamstrings and calves, but really shift around the hips, little side to side. And step the right foot all the way through to your lunge. Come up to high lunge, torso straight up and down, back knee off of the floor, lift the arms up to the sky. Push down through your front big toe, and then try to push your left heel, your back heel, further away from your body. Nice, huge, big opening stretch in the front hip flexor of that left leg. Lower the hands down, step back to plank. Do a push-up. Go back to downward facing dog. And then step the left foot forward to your lunge. Come all the way up to your high lunge. Same thing, push down through your front big toe and push your back heel away from you so it really stretches out through the front of the right thigh, the hip flexor there. Lower the hands down, step back to plank, add in your push-up. Go to downward facing dog. More lunges here. Step the right foot forward. Down dog lunge. Bring both hands to the inside. Spin the back heel down. Walk the hands out over the front left corner. Make the chest come down a little bit lower by actually pushing more weight into the back foot and broadening out the front knee. And then walk everything back in, step back to plank. This time lower flat down to the mat, interlace the hands behind your back, and lift everything that you can up. Change to downward facing dog. Step the left foot through to your lunge. Both hands to the inside. Down dog lunge on this side, so spin the back heel down. Walk the hands out. Push a lot of weight into the back foot. Broaden the left knee away from the line of your shoulder. Make sure you're bringing the breath down low in the body to help create space for the hips today. Walk it back in through plank. Again, lie flat down onto the belly. Interlace the hands behind the back. If interlacing is a little too tight in the shoulders right now, just keep the hands open, no problem. Lift everything that you can up. Change to downward facing dog. Look forward to your hands. Step or jump to the front end of your yoga mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand, reach the arms to the sky. Keep the arms up. Take your feet as close together as you are working with, and reach your arms to the right. Push your hips to the left. Come back to the center. Nice long lateral reach to the second side. Hands go to the left. Push your hips off to the right. Good. Full length and stretch. Sides of the waistline, sides of the torso. Come back to the center. Chair pose. Bend the knees, sit into the thighs. Again, feet can be together or wider apart, however works best for you. Lower your head down more to the knees. Press your belly onto your thighs. Sit down a little bit lower. We've got this. And then change to a forward fold with bent knees. So keep some bend in the knees as you take the hands down, head towards the ground. Forward fold with bent knees. Another breath in like this. Now keep your right foot forward, step the left foot back, come back up to a high lunge. Checking in, have your feet hip distance apart so the hips can really square off to the front, and lift the arms. We've been here before, adding on that lateral reach. Both hands together and lean towards the right. Come back to your center, lower the hands down, step back to plank, add in the push-up, go to downward facing dog, and step forward to your hands, step or jump, half lift, forward fold, stand up, arms to the sky. Again, chair pose, bend the knees, sit into the thighs. At first, keep torso more upright, arms more upright. And then change, head more down to the knees. Interlace the hands now behind your back. They can stay right there on the back or try to lift off of the back towards the sky. Release the hands to the ground, bent knee forward fold. So keep some bend in the knees to really extend the upper body down and over the legs. Now change again, left foot forward, right foot back into your lunge. Have your feet, two different railroad tracks, hip distance apart, come upright. I like to keep my back hand right at the crest of the back hip and make sure it's pointed towards the front. Arms up to the sky. Palms together, lean to the left. Good length down the side of the torso as we've established, but you might also find an extra stretch along the right hip flexor. Okay, come back to the center, lower the hands, step back to your plank. Do the push-up. Downward facing dog. Breathe here for a moment. Downward facing dog. Okay, look forward to the hands. Step or jump to the front of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Take a wide stance on your yoga mat. So use the long edge of the mat, doesn't matter which edge. Okay, warrior two. Turn your right foot out I'm not going to try to mirror. I'm doing right foot too. Turn the right foot out, look over the right hand, bend the right knee. Warrior two. That energy, openness of the body, creativity towards the long edge of the mat. And it's just your gaze that focuses over the front fingertips. Nothing to add here, so what can keep you engaged? Is it focusing on the breath? Finding even a little bit more depth in the pose over the next couple of breaths. Okay, now cartwheel your hands down around the right foot and lower the back knee to the ground. With the back knee on the ground, hands to the hips, lift your torso upright. Wherever your hips have started, can they go slightly more down and forward? Do that by pushing your back knee to the floor and pulling it a little bit forward so it creates a nice, strong isometric stretch, which helps with stability. So you stretch while stabilizing along the joint and muscle. Lift the arms up to the sky. And then lower the hands on either side of the front foot. Pick up the back knee, and we change to warrior one. Spin the back heel down so the back toes face mostly towards the front corner of the mat. And then torso upright. So the hips have to work differently here. Arms to the sky. Now I'll push both feet down and away from one another isometrically. So the back foot is trying to get more towards the back end of your mat, the front foot more towards what's right now the front end of your mat. Lower the hands again. Pick up the back heel. Now slightly shorten your stride. Take the back foot in just a little bit. Bend the back heel down. Now I want you to try to line up on one railroad track so the front heel meets the line of the back heel. Keep the hands down and straighten the right leg as much as you can. So 2 straight legs as much as you can with the hands down. If you have a little more range, a little more flexibility, take the hands back more towards the line of the back foot and take your head down towards your towards your shin, forehead towards the shin. Steady, steady stretch in the hamstrings. I feel it a little on the inner thigh of my front leg as well. You might feel similar or a little bit of a different spot depending on where your body is tight. Okay, everyone, both hands to the waist. And now lift your torso all the way upright and turn your toes back to the nice wide open stance. And we get to do it all on the second side. Turn the left foot out. Heel meeting the line of the middle of the back foot. And then bend the left knee. Kind of that dynamic movement, a little in and out of the pose, totally fine. And then stay more static with it. Find your place. Look out over the left fingertips. I'll get a cranky low back sometimes after a class, and I realize I wasn't using the glutes maybe enough. Squeeze in the right glute here. It can be easy for that to take a little bit of a break and let other things take over. But squeeze the glutes. Okay, and then cartwheel the hands down around the left foot. You come through your low lunge and then set the back knee down to the floor. Push the back knee down as if you're trying to pull it forward. Push the front heel down and as if you're trying to pull it back. Hands to the front thigh or the hips. Keeping that strength in the legs, can the hips go a little bit down and forward? Strong, steady presence in the breath as well in the belly. And then arms up to the sky. Okay, hands down, either side of the front foot. You pick up the back knee. Spin the back heel down. So to get that foot flat, the right hip is naturally going to open more out to the side here. That's okay. Best we can though. I like to point the hip towards the wide corner of the front of the mat and then come upright. That way I feel like I don't have to get it all the way around because that's going to jack up my back knee. Arms to the sky, warrior one, Virabhadrasana Eka. Take one more breath like this. And then lower the hands back down around the front foot. All that up and down, good flexion work. Pick up the back heel. And again, we're going to slide it in just a slightly shorter stance, just like hop in maybe 6-8 inches, something like that. Push the back heel down. And then from here, if you have a block handy, you can use it, of course, at any point. This is a pose that a lot of folks do like to slide a block under the hands so that they can get the front leg a little straighter. But it's always just making choices. Front knee can stay more bent and still get the full benefit of the pose. Again, if there's a little bit more room for you in the body, hands walk more back towards the line of the right leg, back foot. Long spine, forehead more down towards the shin. And think like ankle side rather than knee side of the shin. Aim low. All right, that's a lot of strength stretch work in the hips. Go back to your low lunge and go to downward facing dog. If you're all turned around on your mat here, feel free to go back so that you feel like you're facing forward. Pedal out the feet. From here, let's all take the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog, right leg high. And then knee to chest, hover forward, like we did in the beginning on the knees. We'll do it twice more, leg up and back. Pull knee to chest, hover forward, up and back. Knee to chest, hover forward. And now step it all the way through. Hands to your front thigh. So a lot of things we've been doing in an upright position. Tailbone is down. Here, we're leaned forward. So you want your tailbone more out towards the back end of the mat. And then with the pelvis like that, add the twist. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee. There's that option not to lock the elbow and be a little bit higher. But the trick of getting that lock of the elbow is lean more forward and over so that the pelvis is in a better place to add in the twist of the torso. Untwist. Now, right leg down, half moon pose. So bring the weight into the right leg, hop the left leg up into the sky, lift the left arm as well, half moon. And go back again to your low lunge. When we're in that three-legged dog and pulling the knee into the chest before we step forward, can you recreate that position? Palms down, lift the heel, knee to chest. Shoot it up and back, three-legged dog, and set the leg down. We get to do it all on the second side. Hip, hip, hooray. Lift the left leg high, three-legged dog. Pull the knee to chest. Do it twice more. Lift. Knee to chest. Lift the left leg high. Knee to chest. Step the foot all the way through. Come up to your high lunge. Again, you feel tailbone more down, and instead we want to keep tailbone more out. Add in your twist, palms together, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And then from the twist, place the hands back down. That strength hold, knee hugs in, heel off of the mat, and go up and back, three-legged dog. Set the left foot down, pedal out the feet. Oh, I forgot, didn't I? Oops, let's go back. Left foot forward. You got to do the half moon pose. On the left leg, left fingertips balance. Lift the right leg, lift the right arm. Hips open more towards the side, belly more towards the side. And it's from that external rotation in the bottom standing leg. Okay, now we get to go back. I knew I was missing something. Downward facing dog, here we are. And walk your hands backwards so you're at the end of your sticky mat. Bring the hands to the waist, point the elbows up to the sky, and come all the way upright. Good, shake out the legs a little bit. I see you guys all still moving freely with me, so volume is okay. I heard my earbuds kind of like dip out, so I was a little worried, but everybody seems to be moving still with me. That's where I lost my way. Stand in the center of the mat. Lift the arms up to the sky. And we'll do eagle pose here. We're going to drop the right elbow under the left and come back, palms together. If you've got some shoulder issues going on and this doesn't feel great, hold on to those shoulders. A little more doable. Now if we bend in the knees, sit into the thighs like we're doing chair pose, and then try to balance on one leg, wrap the right leg over the left leg. We're going to play with this a little bit here. Can we go from eagle pose into warrior three? That's a balance pose. Looks like a T shape. But we're going to keep our arms as is and just kick the right leg back behind. Woohoo, and tilt forward on the torso. And this is with a bent left leg. Working that strong stabilization in the outer hip. Adductors coming to us. All right, and then you go back into eagle. And 2 feet down. Unwind the arms and send the left arm under the right. Again, hold on to your shoulders, more doable. Back of the palms, a little more challenging. Front of the palms, asking for the most there. Front of the palms, when I press them together, I get a little bit more of the scapula moving away from each other, which feels pretty nice. as we tend to do the opposite work in our yoga practice. Bend the knees, sit into the thighs. Left leg wraps over. So more specifically, it's the abductors working to squeeze in here. Adductors, getting my vowels wrong, adductors. And then as you push the left leg back and hinge forward, we're working stabilization in the outer hip abductor. Stay with it. And go back to your eagle pose. Two feet to the ground. Release the arms, send everything up to the sky. Nicely done. Forward fold. Okay, look down at your toes in the forward fold. Feet as close together as works for you. And now sit as low as you can in your squat. Squat with the heels on the ground, feet together. I should say fierce pose, chair sit, nice and low. If you've got really great ankle flexion and healthy knees, deep flexion in the hips, sometimes your butt will sit really low here. Mine not so much. We work with what we can. Palms together. And then add a twist again. Left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. And then twist to the other side, so we're not staying there too long. Right elbow to the outside of the left leg. And then back into the center. Let's get ourselves out of this. Ooh, not my favorite thing at all. Downward facing dog. This one I like better. Down dog. Stretch it out. Come forward to plank. Lie down on the belly. Good old cobra pose. Press down through the hands and feet. Squeeze your glutes. Keep those legs stable and strong for you as you lift your torso up. Get a great full extension through the spine. Stay here, breathe here. Looking good. And change again, downward facing dog. We're going to start left foot forward first this time. Step the left foot forward. If you're using blocks, you might want to get it involved here for triangle pose. Set the hand to the outside today, outside of the left foot. Spin the right heel down. Hand on block floor, fingertips to your leg. Lots of options. Right hand to the waist, straighten the left leg. And then let that right hip point face more to the side. And right hand up to the sky now. Can you reach your right arm more overhead, like out past the front toes? Bigger stretch along the top side of the body there. And then right hand comes back to the hip and point the hip more down to the floor. So close it off. Feet, like in Warrior One, do you remember? So we're trying to face both hips, both toes, mostly towards the front of the mat, and change this into a twist. So the right hand on the outside of the left foot, whether it's underneath. Fingertips, the floor, a block, or actually on your shin. And then left arm swings up to the sky. Add in a twist, a turn in the torso, keeping the hips as settled and square to the front as possible. Lower both hands down, come into your low lunge, back heel up. step back to plank. Hold plank or add in a push-up. Go to downward facing dog. And then step your right foot forward. With your right foot forward, left foot back. We set up for regular triangle pose, so not the twist, but regular triangle pose. Right hand on the outside of the pinky. Left heel to the ground, left hand to the hip. Make the right leg as straight as it'll go. Adjust the bottom hand to help you out there. Open up the left hip more towards the side and then stretch the left arm to the sky. Take the left arm longer overhead. Big full side body stretch. And then walk it back to the waist. Square the hips more towards the front leg. Turn the back toes in, rotate them a good 70 degrees. Line up more heel to heel like in Warrior One. And we're switching hands. Left hand tries to reach to the pinky toe side. Use some height to make that more doable. I like to put my thumb into the right hip and pull back a little bit to really activate the stretch in the inner right thigh here. Okay, and then right hand up to the sky. You might notice one side a little or a lot different than the other. Just notice it. It's no big deal. We have preferred sides. Body's not totally symmetrical. Just good to know. Come out of the pose, go into your low lunge, step it back to plank, add in a push-up or don't, and downward facing dog. Walk your hands backwards to your feet. And we've got one more chair pose here today. Bend the knees, sit into your thighs, extend the arms. Try to be more vertical in the upper body. That long extension of the spine. Been admiring all of the open length, mobility, and flexibility in the swimmers in the Olympics. Oh, they must be doing a lot of this work. Exhale, forward fold. And then we get to sit down on our bum. Have a seat on your mat. Pretend like you're a boat. Lift your arms, your legs, a canoe maybe, a little rocked back. Squeeze the inner edges of your feet in. Think navel down towards the spine. Hold it here, hold it here, hold it here. And feet flat down to the mat. Lie down onto your back. Interlace your hands underneath you. Lift your hips up, bridge pose. Press down through your feet, your shoulders, the back of your head, and lift your hips higher, higher, higher. Bridge pose. Do 2 more breaths in bridge pose. And then lower it down. Oh, I think both of my earbuds are out now. I'm hoping you guys are still good with me. Sit on your hands, legs up to the sky. Leg lifts, lower your feet down to about a foot off of the ground. And then back up. Lower the legs down and up. Do it 4 more times. Down and up. Down and up. Down and up. Good. Pull the knees into your chest. Hug like you're in child's pose, lying on your back there. Nice strong squeeze in. And that's going to take us into a rock, up and back, up and back. Stand up, top of your mat. Woo, all the way up. Reach the arms to the sky as you stand up. And kick your right heel to your butt. Hold on, dancing yogi. So straight up and down is more flamingo-like. If you're looking for that good extension through the front of the right hip flexor, you might want to stay right there, up and down. Or hinge forward. And find a little bit more. Keep your eye focused on one point that won't move or change out in front of you to try to hold the balance. And then come back, stand on 2 feet. Stretch both arms up to the sky. Kick the left heel to your seat. Take hold of the left foot with the left hand. Again, sort of flamingo, straight up and down there. Notice what happens if you stay straight up and down, but kick the heel further away. Should bring more back bend to the pose. If you hinge forward, maybe even with a bend in the standing leg, it can make the pose a little bit more doable in terms of the flexibility ask. Maybe a little harder in balance. So we're always playing what works. And then come out of the pose, shake out the legs a little bit. Lift both arms back up to the sky. I was playing with how I wanted to enter this one. We're going to go back to where we were. So right hand to the right foot. We're going to get from here into sugar cane pose. So just before this, you were lying down on your back with your knees curled into your chest. I want you to recreate that as much as you can from the standing balance pose. Curl the knee up, curl the chest down. Keeping that, can you take your left hand to the ground? So you've got the stability of the left hand and the left foot. And now try to point the right knee back towards the short side of your mat behind you. If that's still working, remember that half moon pose, externally rotate through the standing leg to open the right hip more towards the sky. And you're still holding on to your right foot. And then let it all go. 2 feet, 2 hands can touch the mat. And make your way back up to standing. It's a complicated pose, but we try to break it down step by step so that it feels a little bit easier. Arms up, second side. So we're going to kick the left heel to our seat. Hold on. You start with that flamingo pose. And then how can you get your head as close to your knee as possible? So we're going to pull the knee up and the head down. From that rounded back shape, right fingertips to the floor, right foot to the ground. And now I want you to stretch the head and knee as far away from each other again. So left knee goes back, head more forward. You're in sugar cane. Maybe open it out to the side by stretching the right leg straighter and rotating the hip open at the same time. You do as many of those stages in the order presented as you can. And then release. 2 hands, 2 feet to the yoga mat. With 2 hands, 2 feet on the mat, go to flat hands. We've gotten some good sit into the legs and hips already. And let's use that to help us into crane pose, Bakasana. Many, many, many of our arm balances are really all about the hips. So think about that. The closer you can get your belly to your thighs, the easier it will be to bend the elbows and set the knees onto your upper arm bones. And if you can keep that flexed in upper body and take head more forward and down, the pendulum of such should let your feet come off of the ground. That darn should word. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Play in Bakasana for another couple of breaths. And then you're going to sit all the way back down to your butt. As you sit down, lie down, hug your knees back into the chest. The first thing a lot of yogis think about when they hear this is a class about hips, it's pigeon pose. We are going to get there. We're going to do it first on our back here. Fold your right heel over towards your left shoulder and extend your left leg out. And you can hold on to knee and ankle or forearms underneath your shin or crease of the elbows around the foot and knee. If your head is up, your left foot should also be up. If your head and shoulders can go down, your left leg should also be able to extend down. In other words, keep them together. Pigeon pose on our back. Thread the needle. Now bring your left knee in so that it tacks to your right ankle. Thread your arms between the legs. Hold behind your left thigh. Some folks like to hold in front of the shin. Here's another one to try. Oh, I find it really not fun, but you might. Unthread your hands and hold on to your foot and use the force of the foot to pull down, which will open up the hips even more. And then everyone safely unthread the legs completely, soles of the feet to the mat. Give it a moment there. And we'll do this on the second side. So then the left ankle should come closer to the right shoulder and extend the right leg out. Again, keep the head lifted as much as your right heel is lifted. And you can hold knee and ankle, or the shins, or that baby cradle of the elbows around the foot and knee. And from your reclined pigeon, we're doing thread the needle, which brings the right knee close to the left ankle, bend the right foot. This one always feels better to me than the reclined pigeon. There's a little bit more of the force. You've got the power of the right leg to help with the release of the left side. Okay, and then take both feet back down to the mat. Maybe a little bit of windshield wipers, knees just falling side to side. And then we're going to rock ourselves up to a seat and come around to all fours. And this is where we get into pigeon pose that most of you are familiar with. Place your right knee towards the right wrist. And the heel can stay tucked in towards the left hip. That's where it feels safe to me. Or you pull the heel more out towards the left hand, as long as that still feels good to you, along the joints. Okay, walk the left leg back until the hips are closer to the ground and come down to the forearms. If you're using your yoga block, it could rest underneath the arms here to keep the upper body more lifted so that you can continue to square off the hips. So try not to fall onto your right side here. Keep a lot of weight into the left leg too, that back extended leg. This tends to be a pretty polar pose for most folks. They either really love it or really, really dislike it. Wherever you are in that continuum, know that it's a couple breaths more. You either get one side or have to do one more side, and then it's done. Okay, walk the back knee back in until you can come up onto the forearm, to the hands, and around to all fours. Second side, shift the left knee towards the left hand. Heel tucked in towards the right side. And then walk the right leg back. Come on down to the forearms. And I should have mentioned we did the pose on our back first so that you knew the offering. And you can stay on your back and do it twice if this pose doesn't work for you. Forward. I've been working with a left knee injury, and for me, I just know that I have to stay up higher on this side. Okay, and then it's time for all of us to do one last downward facing dog. And from down dog, I want us to do one more twist. So I'm going to give you the option, a seated twist, like so. Or a twist on your back, like so. You pick. So pretty big spinal twist. Don't worry about keeping the hips too planted, even in the seated version. And whichever option you've taken, go to your second side. Good, and then I want everyone to come to lie down onto your back with the knees pulled into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze there. Take in a couple of breaths. Thank you for this time. Attention to body. Creating overall strength, mobility, and flexibility. Such important elements And stretch the arms long overhead, feet long out in front of you. If there's any more unwinding movements, say you did that seated twist and now you want to do it lying down or vice versa, this is a good time to add it in. And then from your unwinding movement, find a position of stillness. It can be lying down on the mat, just arms, legs extended, sort of our traditional corpse pose, Shavasana. Maybe you like to sit up for these last moments. It's up to you. Right, you are absolutely welcome to stay here longer. It's your time, your space. For those ready to close the practice, come on back to a seated position. As you do that, palms together, thumbs to your sternum. Bowing into the light, the love within you, within each other. Gratitude for this practice. I like to end with the sound of Om, said to be a sound of beginning that can help transition us from one phase to the next. You're welcome to sing along, you're welcome to listen, you're welcome to absolutely tune it out. Empty out the breath here. Take a deep breath in. Thank you. Namaste.